Ready?
2 online, and we are ready when you are.
Okay, good evening, everyone. This is the regular meeting of the Larkspur Parks and Recreation Commission. Today is Thursday, October 19th, and the time is 6:30. We're gonna start the meeting with a roll call. Stone?
Vice Chair Capel,
Here.
Commissioner Harrison,
Here.
Commissioner Baxter,
Here.
Commissioner Friedel.
Here.
And for the record, Chair Sunshine is absent tonight.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead and move to the public comment section of tonight's meeting. Just a reminder, the Parks and Recreation Commission will only hear public comments on matters over which they have jurisdiction. There will be no commission discussion. The chair will allot no more than 5 minutes to an individual unless the chair determines otherwise. Total amount of time allocated to this agenda item will be 15 minutes. I'm imagining that many people here are here for the Niven Park update, and that is an item on the agenda. So we will wait to hear any comments regarding that until we get to that point in the hearing. But if there's any comments anyone has to make outside of any of the items on the agenda, please come up to the podium, state your name and your
Thank you, Commissioner Capel, and all the commissioners. Eric Bowen, Larkspur resident. I was here for the first time at last month's meeting. Really appreciate the support the commission provided and all the great work that Director Nick's done with regards to the pickleball courts, Pike Park. So I really wanted to mention 2 things tonight. I've got a full agenda, a lot of folks, so I'll do my best to keep it brief. So one, I just wanted to give you an update on how it's been at Piper Park since the upgrades have been made. And second, make a request. So I'll start with last week, Monday. I happened to be there playing in the afternoon when the portable nets, the rollout nets were delivered and assembled. And it was a really, really sweet moment because all of us who've been playing there for months, for me and for many people for years, and bringing our own nets to facilitate that sort of play. We're there doing our normal thing on Monday when the guy showed up with 2 giant boxes, on their shoulders, carrying them in, and play stopped, and everyone gave them a round of applause, and it was super, super sweet. So they did their assembly on court 4, and as soon as they were done, we rolled them out and continued playing. It was just really great. So the community really appreciates what the commission has done and what Nick has done, really facilitating additional play. So a couple of things with regards to that on sort of the updates, right? The other thing that happened was the installation of the paddle rack. So now fast forward to this week, Monday, 2 days ago, I was out there. Lots of people came through that Monday afternoon. At one point, there were over 30 people on court 3, either actively playing or waiting to play pickleball. And thank goodness for the paddle rack, because you can only actually have 16 people actively playing at one time on court 3, so the 4 courts, 4 people per court, all playing doubles. And so you had about 16 people playing and almost the same amount of people waiting. And the paddle rack was a lifesaver on sort of organizing who was up next and how we were going to rotate and all of that. So, really appreciate all of that and very, very positive. At the same time, it was a little bittersweet because while, enough of us to play at least 3 or 3.5 games were sitting there waiting, court 4 was empty, completely vacant. And we've been talking as a community and talking to Nick about, can we get pickleball lines painted on court 4 so when court 3 is full, we can overflow into court 4 and use it at times like when there's that many people out interested in playing. So I'll come back to that when I get to my request part, but a few more things on the update because I think it's actually really positive and something the commission should know. So first, by having the nets, it's really made riding your bike to Piper Park to play a lot easier because you no longer have to bring your net. So like I would always prefer to ride my bike and not take up a parking spot. Like I gotta put this giant net on the back of my bike. It's a bit awkward and not exactly the safest thing in the world. And now there's no worry at all. I can hop on my bike and ride down and know that the nets are there. And there's many other people doing that. The other great thing is it's really increased the diversity of players at Piper Park. And sort of 2 or 3 ways really notably. One, we've got high school kids now coming over from Redwood after school to play, and they don't have their own nets, right? But they can come over, they have a paddle or they'll borrow a paddle, and they'll come out and play, and that's great. Some older players who weren't coming out before, but now that they know there's more, posted pickleball hours and their nets there, they're coming out, and more beginners are coming out as well. So we're getting a much more diverse set of people coming out. That's also part of what's related to the increase in numbers, but again, a really positive thing from the actions that the commission and the Dr. Stone has taken. So very appreciative of all of that. So the only negative about all of this is what I alluded to earlier, which is just, there's a lot of people out and a lot of wait times because there's almost twice as many people wanting to play as there is court space to play. So I know that as a non-agendized item can't address any of this. So again, just sharing all of this with you. My son Marcello and I are happy to come back next month and continue the dialogue. Hopefully we can get pickleball on the agenda for next month, and hopefully we can get pickleball lines specifically for Court 4 put on there, so there can be a public notice and everyone can weigh in on the pros and cons of doing that and have a proper community discussion and both here at the commission as well as public comments. I did take some time to look at the Piper Park master plan, and there were 2 items in here that I thought were directly on point for the pickleball community's request for additional lines on Court 4. So one is on page 45. It's goal number 1, principle number 3, which is maximize active use areas by encouraging multiple use within the existing area. So this is not a request to take away any tennis lines or to take away the tennis net. It's basically, to replicate on Court 4 what we had on Court 3 before we put in the paddle rack and the nets, right? It's just lines, so it can be used for tennis or it can be used for pickleball. It's a flexible space. So again, just supportive of multiple uses of that precious public park space. And then goal 7 has this nice item here. Continue to enhance, develop, and maintain park facilities for safety and to meet the needs of park users. And of course, the needs of park users change over time, as does everything. Pickleball has become really, really popular, as we talked about last month. So again, thank you so much for everything you've done to support the pickleball community with Court 3. And we'd love to get that expanding into Court 4 on the agenda for next month. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I am Marcello Bowen, Larkspur resident, and thank you for the nets on Court 3. When I came after school on Tuesday, and my dad brought the electric scooter, and then we were able to not have to do a whole parking. And it was a fun experience. Didn't have to drive the net back and forth. So thank you for that. And when we were playing there, the pickleball courts were full, and tennis courts were empty. There's actually a couple playing on the tennis net, playing pickleball on the tennis net. Thank you for all your stuff, but so I think that it would be a positive impact to plant court lines on a Court 4, because it wouldn't take away from the tennis players, and it would give to the entire community.
Thank you, Michelle. Thanks for coming. Any more non-agenda items from the public? Anyone online?
Raise your hand if you'd like to have a comment for the public comment section. No hands raised.
Okay, Well, then we're gonna move on to item number 3, which is the approval of the consent calendar. And that is for the minutes from September 21st, 2023. And I'd happily entertain a motion. All in favor? Aye.
All in favor?
We have nothing on the agenda for the public hearing. We're gonna move on to item number 5, which is the business items. Item 5.1 is the Eagle Scout proclamation. I'm gonna go ahead and read the proclamation that has been signed by the chair, Elizabeth Sunshine, for the Larkspur Parks and Recreation Commission. It goes as follows. A proclamation of the Larkspur Parks and Recreation Commission in recognition of Eagle Scout candidate Colby, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Triboulet, and his contribution to improving Hamilton Park. Whereas Hamilton Park is a glowing example of how a community can come together to build great things. Whereas Hamilton Park came to be in 1972 when Mrs. Clara Bell Hamilton, a resident of the Tamalpais retirement community, noticed the rampant construction along South Alicio Drive was resulting in loss of public access to the shoreline of Corte Madera Creek. Mrs. Hamilton purchased the last remaining 1/3 acre parcel for $40,750 and dedicated it to the city of Larkspur to be used for personal recreational purposes. Whereas in 1977, a dedication ceremony was held to commemorate the occasion of a new public park made possible by the generous donations by the Ross Valley Kiwanis Club and the Larkspur Lions Club. Mrs. Hamilton was on hand to cut the ceremonial red ribbon and view the plaque and sign naming the new park as Hamilton Park. Whereas over the years, the park has been well used by residents and employees from nearby workplaces. Whereas Larkspur resident Colby Triboulet chose as his Eagle Scout service project to refurbish several weathered benches at the park entrance and design a wraparound tree bench at the water's edge, and organized fundraising activities and a work crew of his fellow scouts and their parents to execute his project. Whereas the Larkspur Parks and Recreation Commission acknowledges that in August 2023, Colby Triboulet and his supporters funded and executed the building of these new improvements in Hamilton Park, which is in keeping with the vision and philanthropy modeled by Mrs. Hamilton some 50 years ago. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Larkspur Parks and Recreation Commission does hereby recognize Colby Triboulet for his admirable contribution in effort toward beautification and improvement at Hamilton Park and providing an example to others of what we can build together. And again, this is signed by Elizabeth Sunshine, Chair, Larkspur Parks and Recreation Commission. I just was wondering if Colby is in attendance this evening. Would you mind having to be recognized, please? Do you have any words you want to say to us or the general public?
I guess thank you to Rita for providing kind of the whole details of the project and giving me the idea. And then thank you for you guys for the proclamation. And it was really a fun experience to build a bench. And I hope it stays there for a while and serves a lot of people.
Great addition to the community.
It's a beautiful bench. Great job.
Any commissioners have anything to say?
Thank you very much for adding to the parks. Wonderful.
Yeah, congratulations, Colby.
Thank you.
There's the proclamation for you. Thank you very much for your service.
Got it. Got it.
Okay. Item 5.2, the Niven Park update. Prior to any public comments, we're gonna have, I believe, a presentation provided by Rita. Thank you so much for your service.
Hi. What? The minutes. One second.
Sorry, would you mind can we amend the agenda to move 5.3 up?
Sure.
Which is the Larkspur Community Foundation presentation.
No problem.
Yes.
Let us go ahead and move to item 5.3. The Larkspur Community Foundation presentation.
Hello, thank you for amending the agenda. And thank you for your time. My name is Laura Anderson and I'm here with Lee Stern, who's our newest board member. We are from the Larkspur Community Foundation. Thought we just give you a quick update on what we're up to since we partner with you on many things. So we are celebrating our 10th year as a nonprofit. We're the youngest community foundation in all of Marin. I think the Cormadera Community Foundation is 30 years old, for example. So we are just finding our group as we speak. We currently have 8 board members. We are growing monthly, and we are beginning to see our impact in the community really building. So I think you may know Sandy Blauwelt. She was one of our esteemed founders, and sadly she passed away in the spring. She served on your commission for many, many years. And after she passed away, our foundation established a fund in her honor, and we are accumulating donations and intend to purchase a bench with a plaque on it and a tree in paper park facing the board Sandy lived. And if you'd like more information about how to contribute, just check our website, which is along Larkspur Community Foundation.org. There's a special tab for Sandy's fund. So our mission is pretty simple. It's to sustain Larkspur's historic small town character and quality of life. It's intentionally broad so that we have some flexibility. We like to be seen in the community as a go-to group for wish lists. That can be anywhere from $500 to $10,000. And to talk a little bit more about the grants that we've given up to now is Lee.
Thanks. Hi, my name is Lee Stern. I'm a Larkspur resident as well. Recently joined the board of the Larkspur Community Foundation. So just wanted to give you guys an idea of some of the projects that we've been working on. As Laura said, we give out grants anywhere from $500 to $10,000. We tend to focus on 3 separate areas: beautification, quality of life, and civic engagement. So on the beautification side, one example of a project that we recently funded was the planting of the new plants down the parking lots across from the left bank. So that was recently done. That whole parking lot is in the process of being refurbished. They're going to the bus structure is going to be taken down and replaced and so forth. So that's one area that we work in. As far as community engagement, we worked on a number of different projects. For instance, the King Street housing is a project that we helped fund. We bought a computer. We also helped them with some other projects. We're also involved with 1251 South Alicia. And then during COVID, for instance, we did some funding with the Chamber of Commerce on the GoFundMe campaign, and we work closely with a lot of the energy groups here. So then finally, quality of life is really where we come into contact with the recreation, Parks and Rec. We've given over $15,000 worth of grants this year to various projects for the Parks and Rec. So for instance, the community garden, we helped $6,000 to Hampton Park. We gave $6,000 for the 4 summer music in the park events where we also participated. And we also gave $2,500 for the upcoming holiday lights lights, display that'll be happening over the holidays. So those are the kind of projects we're working on. We're actually also working on a big project, big fundraiser, that we hope to occur next September, which is another Rose Bowl dance. And so we've secured, the ability to have that event again at the Scout Winery. And we're in the process of planning that particular, event. You know, we're proud of what we've accomplished in the last 10 years, and we look forward to continuing our mission to, you know, sustaining Larkspur's small town character, and quality of life. If you're interested and you want to get more information, we do have a website. It's www.larkspurcommunityfoundation.org. And we look forward to working on other projects with this commission. So if there are other ideas or other ways that we can help or can further projects, we're happy. Thank you.
And then we're open, if you have any questions, comments,
Hey, Commissioner?
Thank you.
Yeah. we count you as one of our partners in the community, so, yeah. We'll keep popping up and maybe just update you periodically.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think this is the first time you come.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you see these
Yeah.
shirts, we're trying to, this is yeah, we're not saying, but yeah, and if you'd like a shirt, we're happy to give you a shirt as honorary foundation people. Okay.
Well, we certainly appreciate you coming tonight, and all the great work that you do. I've gone to the Rose Bowl dance before, and I'm glad to hear it's coming back. You said that's next September?
Yeah.
September 21st, 2024.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And please come back, maybe on an annual basis. It'd be great to hear what's going on with the foundation.
We'd like to do that. We love working with Nick and Gianni and Music in the Park and I think Frida. Yeah, we're planted mock plants in the parking lot that I love. You were there. Didn't recognize you, Dr. Hat. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are we ready for part two, the Niven Park update? I think we are.
Yes.
Rita, let's go ahead and do the presentation.
Okay, thank you so much. So good evening, commissioners and the public. We wanted to discuss, just give you an update on Niven Park. And the reason for this meeting is that, as you know, I've been presenting to you folks for the last, I don't know, year or 2 years about the project, and you know how it has grown over the years. And then, you know, but then we got to the point where the design was, you know, recommended to go forward to council, and it was approved. So as we started getting into the construction part of it, just over the last couple of months, it was a number of residents came forward and said that they actually knew nothing about the park. And, you know, they, particularly the people that live close to where the park is located. And so we just, Dan and Julian, myself, we just decided, let's go ahead and do a community workshop, which was held just prior to this meeting. To give people an understanding of like, this is where we are in the process, and under consideration, because of the feedback that we were receiving, was perhaps moving the park from the playground from its current location to a different location, further north in the park, closer to the street. So, as you know, and just to backtrack for a second, I mean, the way that the project sort of grew, you know, originally it was just going to be a replacement play structure, and then we got some more budget, and so we went ahead and made it a little bit bigger. And then the private donors of Combat stepped in and, you know, was generously wrote the project. And so by that point, we had already brought on a landscape architect and a civil engineer on board. And so there was already project expenditures on the project. And so it just kind of morphed, you know, went from a certain size and it got bigger. And that was really the reason why we were sort of, you know, we just continued with that location. So with that feedback from the public, you know, we sort of just took a step back and said, okay, you know, if this park were to be built today, these housing projects in the park, the Niven Park would be built today, you know, where might we actually put a playground? And so that's how the thought about some alternate locations were decided upon. So at the workshop, we invited people from both Cape Marin and Drake's Landing communities to come and join. And then had some display boards, letting people, giving them context, because they said they had never seen, you know, they knew nothing about the project, giving some context in terms of what was going to be in the design. And then also this map showing the original, the location already approved by council, which is A, and then 2 alternate locations, B and C, and those would be closer to the fire station. We then also had a couple of display boards where staff and just comments that we generated merits and drawbacks of both locations, and then invited people to put in their own comments. And then we had a pretty robust public commentary time period where people have a lot to say. So this is where we are today. And so we just wanting to let you know, this is what the update is. We're going to take additional feedback from, there are people here that want to make additional public commentary. So we'll take additional feedback. There's still people that are sending in emails in addition to what's already been submitted so far. And so all of this will sort of get put in the mix, and you know, we'll discuss it and then move forward with council and have them make the decision on whether or not to keep the location of the expanded playground in A or go to B or C. I think that's all I want to say about that. And so I guess I'll ask if you have questions, and if once we're done with that, we will open it up to the floor.
Any commissioner comments?
Thanks, Rita.
No, thanks for the update, appreciate it.
Okay, we're gonna open this up to public comments. For everyone to keep in mind that we're just being updated as a commission. We're not here to make any recommendations to the city council at this time. But we are certainly here to listen and you know, and get the feedback from the community as to their thoughts on this project. And having said that, if someone wants to come up and come to the podium, please state your name and where you live, and provide us with your input.
Hi there, my name is Sally Farrell. I'm a Greenbrae resident and mom of 2 young daughters. This project has been generously donated to the city of Larkspur by a family who tragically lost their 7-year-old son, and they're turning their intense pain into hope and joy. This donation to improve this piece of public land may not come around for us as a community again. You've received at least 50+ public comment emails from enthusiastic parents in their neighborhood and surrounding neighborhoods, and hope that everyone can understand what joy this is going to bring our community, and how much enthusiasm these parents have around it. The Larkspur Greenbrae residents north of Port Madera Creek are underserved with a decent-sized play area. There are 3 City of Larkspur parks: Niven, Greenbrae School, and Neighborhood Playground. All 3 are about the same size and essentially just a play structure with no auxiliary play equipment or enrichment elements. These 3 playgrounds are ADA accessible at the most minimal level and lack universal access for kids with varying abilities. The designers of this project have thoughtfully created a tasteful, innovative space that has elements such as the pebble harp and sand play area to create inclusivity for children with all abilities, while taking into consideration the needs and sensitivities of adjacent neighbors. Screens and video games are such a constant in our children's lives, and a discovery area where they can pretend to play is an incredible gift and much more attractive than plastic play structures. The expansion of the current playground, I think you said it was about double the size that it is now.
The active play.
The active play area, about double the size that it is now, and will allow for more discovery by children, but still very small scale project. Niven Playground makes the most sense to enlarge due to proximity to the shopping center, to restrooms, ease of access and parking. The proposed option A location, many of us feel is optimal and safest. As a mom, I'm constantly thinking about safety. Opponents, hope to perhaps also move the location of the playground, and I hope you can consider some of these safety factors. I realize you're not making a decision today, but option C proposes moving the location of the intersection of Berry Way and Drake's Landing. Small children next to street traffic is not ideal. This is also less than a block away from one of the busiest, highly trafficked intersections of Marin, which is Sir Francis Drake, Alicio, and Berry Way. Visible to thousands of cars daily, kids scootering in and out of that, small children scootering in and out of that area, probably not ideal. Option B is the traffic intersection is also next to this traffic intersection and kitty corner to a busy gas station. They would also split up the park, providing less space for other recreational activities along the thoroughfare of the park, a lot of dog users and dog owners. Option A, the current plan location is safest. Tucked back next to Porter Mary Dura Creek, away from busy streets. This location allows for all to enjoy the beauty of the creek in its public space. Additional donated plants and trees will provide needed shade and will improve the landscape compared to what it is now, which is just some cement, dead grass, trees, and weeds. We understand that in a few years, the tops of these trees may inhibit some views for several residents, and understand and empathize with them. I hope we can consider the added beauty compared to what it is now. Please consider the joy this will provide your community. Our kids deserve this investment, and we have to think differently and invest in the future of this community. This will be the most inclusive public outdoor space for our kids in this area. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
And Lucy Partridge. I also live in Green Bay. I'm a mom of 3 young children, and we are constantly at parks. And I got a chance to look at the design of this park and see the proposal, and just think that it would be such a great asset to the community. It's in the proposed option A is a beautiful little space, and the play structure right now is there's not much to it. My 1.5-year-old has sort of tapped out of all the things that he can do on it, which is climb up and slide down. And I have also a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I think for the 3 of them to be able to go to a place where they could explore, discover, find new things, think about things differently. There's a lot of natural aspects to the proposal that I think would be great for them and for all the other kids in our community. I did take a look at the other proposed options of B and C, and I agree wholeheartedly with Sally that it makes me nervous that they're so close to such a busy intersection and busy streets, and also closer proximity to the fire station. Emergency vehicles need to come in and out, and a gas station that's very popular and very busy. So just not as ideal of a location I would see for small children or any children probably. And I just think that the gift that's being given in the additional funding from the family who wants to give back to the community in honor of their child. Sorry. It's just so precious. I think, I certainly appreciate that. I'm sure a lot of other people do too. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Cami Iker. I'm living at 14 Drake's U Circle in Green Bay. My townhome overlooks Niven Park and directly onto location A, which is the original location of the expanded playground area. I'd like to first thank everyone involved in giving us this opportunity to share feedback on alternate locations for the new playground. I also want to thank the generous donors who made this playground improvement possible as a loving tribute to their son. And thank the designers of what I feel will be a special play area for small children, and which will now be totally fenced in for the safety of our children and grandchildren, which is my case. I'm here in support of the alternate playground locations, either B or C. There are, in my view, positive aspects to these two alternate sites. First, they are the furthest from any surrounding homes and are located in the widest part of the park, rather than in Area A, the current location, which is the narrowest and closest to the houses in both our complex and Cape Marin, affecting our homes. B and C are closest to the entrance of the park, and thus family, children, and caregivers would now not need to cross the expanse of the park to reach the playground, which I think will have a lot more use than what the small area that's currently there and sometimes sits empty. We all know that there are signs posted that off-leash dogs are not allowed in Niven Park. Yet, despite the city's best efforts, the park is filled with off-leash dogs throughout the day. And one of those two locations would help preclude run-ins between dogs and children. Further, the locations of B and C are much closer to the public restrooms in Bon Air. I'd like to add that the current small playground is not even visible from my upstairs desk area that borders the playground and overlooks the park. However, the new version, if it is located in Area A, will be what I look directly down onto from my desk, as it will only be a few feet from my window. And it will be even closer to my neighbors, reaching only 9 feet from those small patios. And because we're not able to build tall fences, the view from these patios would look directly into the new fencing of the playground. And of course, the sound due to that close proximity will be an issue for those of us along the park. Thank you for considering these two locations.
Thank you. Questions?
Thank you for taking the time. My name is Tim Farrell. I'm also a parent whose family lives in Greenbury, and I'm here to support the redevelopment of Niven Park in its current location. We've been coming to Niven Park before we moved to Greenbury. Location and setting are perfect, being close to the path, the water, and away from the traffic, cars driving in and out of the gas stations, parking lot, etc. The young kids, safety is obviously a huge concern. Therefore, option A, from a safety standpoint, makes sense to me, my wife, and our family. On August 18, 2023, a child in Greenfield, California was hit by a car while leaving the playground, whose entrance was right close to the entrance to the street. On May 15, 2023, a 9-year-old child had been hit by a significantly impaired driver who crashed onto a school playground. On September 21st, 2023, a mother and her child were struck and hit by a car in front of Toro Park Elementary School. Granted, this was a school, but this type of accident can be avoided at Niven Park if the playground remains in location A. Sometimes children forget what parents tell them. Do not run across the street. Always look both ways. Parents worry about their children being hit by cars while crossing the street or playing in the roadway. Unfortunately, sometimes kids are not careful and don't listen to their parents. They don't look out for cars. Unfortunately, moving the playground closer to the street, intersection, and gas station puts our kids in more jeopardy of getting hit by distracted drivers, kids running to chase balls, etc. Our community and schools put a lot of emphasis on safe routes, whether it's biking, running, walking, etc. When there's a clear and obvious answer to one new and generously donated playground that should go, why would anyone want to move it closer to the street? I close with this quote I read on a plaque on a park bench at Niven Park from Ken Kramer's 1952 to 2022. An inspirational leader of 2000s is quoted, "The children come first." Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more public comments? Okay, we're gonna close that unless we want to look online and see if there's anyone looking
If you
to.
have a comment for this item, please raise your hand. There are no public comments online.
Okay, at this point, we're gonna open up to discussion again. Just as a reminder, we're not here to make any decisions or recommendations, but certainly we can discuss this as a commission. Please.
I have a couple of questions and comments from my information. I do agree that C and B look to be more of a safety issue. But my question is that if it is a decent sized park, considering some of our park sizes in Larkspur, why were B and C chosen other than those other open areas? Or the reasoning, was there infrastructure there that makes B and C an option and not the other open space in the middle?
Oh,
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking
for
at
the-
that. Yeah, sorry, thanks.
well, I think for moving, B and C is the widest area.
Okay.
And it's already, the streets, there's already ambient noise from just the street, the parking lot would have, the fire station, all of that. A is the most constricted spot, and even moving it just a little bit, on the other side would, it's still, it impacts the most number of residents, whereas B and C the least. From a construction standpoint, B and C, there would be less impact to the park users with B and C, just because, when we start getting into actual construction, we're gonna have heavy equipment, there's gonna be dirt being hauled out. It'll be a lot. So that's another reason. There's also utility lines that need to be run, a water line, and then just in terms of just the infrastructure underneath the existing infrastructure, storm drains, and I don't know what else, there's sewer line, there's a high pressure sewer line down there. So again, less impact generally.
That was more my question. like,
Yeah.
Was there infrastructure? And
Yes,
it's more of a concern.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
And then
there
it's
was a question- I'm sorry. do you have-
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I was just gonna say that, again, for B and C, we are aware that people do park within the Cape Moran and Drake's Landing area when they go to that park, and so we felt like putting it more forward, it does allow for better access, because it's not just these two communities that use this park. I mean, everybody in Greenbury Hills and then on South Aliso, this would be a major part for them as well. So we wanted the access to parking and just the proximity to the shopping center. It just makes it easier for families when you're coming in and when you pick up something and you can walk to the, and we don't have a public restroom, so I'm not saying that people should use the restrooms in the shopping center, but.
We don't know. And then one last question, there was a comment made about, the noise. Is there any thought to playtime hours? I mean, I know we have sound ordinances in the city, and could the park, that structure be closed at a certain time since it's fenced? Could it stop at 6 or 7? Is that just as a thought, because to accommodate the noise issue, I know we can't, I'm not making a decision on this, but that just came to my mind. When the dog park has hours, we have structures that are controlled, would that be something that could maybe help facilitate some of the concerns of the residents around this area?
I think the park is open sunrise to sunset, so the park has to close down at sunset. In the winter, that's 5 o'clock, and in the summer, that's closer to 9. And so what we encourage anybody to do, if there's any activity in the park after hours, that they contact the police about it. And with enough contact with the police, they'll know to just to drive-bys at certain times, depending on call level.
Those are just my comments.
Thank you.
I have maybe one question, maybe two. One, hearing about the concern for location B and C being primarily what we're hearing this evening anyway, is about safety. Is there any consideration to design that would help mitigate that? I know that we're going to fence it, which is really fabulous. But is there a feeling that that will mitigate some of the concern about kids running outside the scope of the play area?
I mean, this is a playground for 2 to 5-year-old children primarily. And so the way I'm looking at this is that these are families are coming in. I don't see, and the play structures themselves are scaled for 2 to 5-year-old children. So kids that are school age that are coming on a bike or whatever, I mean, initially, of course, it's going to be attractive and they may come, but I'm not convinced that is, we will have a fence around it. And so, and we'll have the safety latches like you would see at any preschool. I don't, and it is back. I mean, we've got that whole new planting area with the sign and all the plants and, it is set back from the park. It's probably, or from the streets, it's probably a good 30 feet or so from the street. So I'm not 100% convinced that the cars crashing into the playground. I mean, you have that. Yeah, that for me is not top of mind. But,
I think there was a question about the fence and whether it will mitigate people from running out into the street too. So I think that part of it too, with the age of children that Rita's talking about, the fence not going to stop somebody if they really want to get out, but it certainly will slow them up, hopefully enough that it will give the parents more time to go and intervene in that potential occurrence. And as Rita said, it is what we have is schematic at this point. The park will be that fence will probably be about 30 feet back from the street too.
And also, where are kids running from? It's not like there's houses on the other side of those streets. I mean, it's a shopping center, it's a fire station. So I'm having a little bit of, I'm having a disconnect on, all these children that are going to be running towards the playground. I think if any of the running is going to be happening, it's going to be coming from the neighborhoods up the park to the playground, as opposed to coming from Sir Francis Drake.
I think the concern is that they'll run out of on B and C.
Yeah, B and C.
Yeah,
They would run out into the street. That's
From
the
the
park.
From the playground.
That's what I understood the concern. I think that's what I heard right.
To where though? Yeah, to where?
Something shiny.
Any other comments, questions?
I think one of the things the public comments mentioned was the dogs off leash. Is there a consideration or part of the future plan for dog park within the event?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, okay.
That was floated about 10 years ago, and these neighbors were adamantly against the dog park, which is why we have the brand new dog
It's a
park.
wonderful dog park.
And-
I've heard.
which is
Yeah.
the appropriate location for a dog park. It's doesn't here, they're the neighbors are upset about, potential noise from children and the Pebble Harp if you put a dog park in there.
Right.
And how would the location of the playground impact throwing of frisbees and ball play? I understand there's been some concern about that.
I could see maybe B, because it is a little bit more in the center of the park, but either location A or C, there's still a huge expanse. Is that thing still up there?
Yep.
There's still a huge expanse. So I mean, yes, the dog owners would, have to move past the playground, and throw but I don't think it would impact them. I could see B maybe because it does sort of maybe bisect the play area or the green space, but I don't really see that being an issue with either keeping it at A or moving it to C.
I know that the plan that has gone through the process already been approved had quite a bit of landscaping
Mhm.
elements to it,
Yes.
including trees. Should another location be selected, will the landscaping plan as designed go with it? So we'll see more
Yes.
trees and that kind of.
Yes,
thing?
yeah,
Okay.
so it'll be configured a little differently just
Mhm.
because it's, this is more like a teardrop shape, whereas this might be a little more rectilinear, or just more elongated. But it'll still be surrounded by, trees, ornamental, specimen trees and the landscaping. The items inside the park, the various structures and the ornamental features will remain the same. Or essentially, there may be a couple tweaks just based on the topography is just a little bit different, but essentially.
Great, thanks.
This park improvement, it's been approved by the city council.
Yes.
And you finalized the contract for the implementation, or you still?
No,
that's-
no,
that's still-
it's out
still
to, yeah, it's out to
Out to
bid. And so, yeah, so there's no contract that's been signed as yet.
Okay. Could you run through where we go from here?
So where we go from here is we review the feedback and, do you want to?
Sure. Yeah, so this project last went through the city council when they approved the plans and specifications for the project details, basically, that you had recommended for approval. Then we went out to the public bid, so now it's out there in the construction world for the contractors to look at and come back to us with a bid for constructing the project. And we're doing this parallel process right now to determine if there's a better location for the playground in the park. So the next step in the project is city council approval of a construction contract. So typically we go out to bid, we open the bids, we get a low bidder. And then we have to go to city council and have them authorize a contract with the low bidder. And so what we're looking at for this parallel phase is when we go back to the city council, tentatively set for November 15th, based on when we anticipate opening bids. We would at the same time let the council know about this process that we've gone through to look at alternate locations. And if based on the public feedback and our staff review of the different locations, we wanted to recommend an alternate location, we would ask the council to approve that design change. Seeing as they have already approved the plans and specifications for this project in its current location. This would be a big enough change that we would have to get the council approve a location change. So our anticipation is on the 15th, we'll be asking the city council to award a construction contract in location A or location B or location C, and we would have a staff recommendation based on our gathering information from the public feedback at that point.
And I take it the public will have the opportunity to make their comments directly to the city council.
Yes, so typically we would publish an agenda for that city council meeting the Friday before that meeting, and at that time. Folks would see what staff's recommendation is for the public, for the playground, and then they could either send comments to the city council or appear at the 15th meeting to give their comments on the staff's proposal before the city council votes on, I guess.
Any questions for Julian?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I very much appreciate Rita and your update and the public comments. I understand that this is a challenge to figure out exactly where to place what should be a wonderful addition to that park. And if there's no other comments from the commissioners, we're gonna close up that business item and move on to the director's oral report.
Right. Thank you, Vice Chair Capel. Great, so you heard from Mr. Bowen about the pickleball nets that were delivered a couple weeks ago. They were well received out there, and I've got a ton of complimentary emails about it, so people are really happy with it. And I think that it is nice because it allows people to come play pickleball that don't have nets or don't want to take the time to set up nets. So I think it was a good move on our part to do that, and the paddle rack seems to be working out very, very nicely so far. On to theater. Katya and Company is performing Matilda at the Playhouse in San Anselmo. They've been rehearsing at the Hall Middle School gym and in our community centers on Wednesday at 2:30 for the last 2 months. So everybody's really excited. There's a lot of energy about that, and they have a ton of kids signed up this year. And from there, they move right into Wizard of Oz starting in November. So a lot of theater these days. This Friday, tomorrow night, the Marin Girls Softball is hosting a registration kickoff night. Their season starts in the spring, but they're trying to drum up some extra interest in softball. So they're going to be having an event at Piper Park tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, I believe, and they're going to have the Kona ice truck out and have the fields all lined and get everyone thinking baseball or softball. Excuse me. So if you're around Piper tomorrow evening, it'd be nice to drop by. On Saturday, we're having the fall garden work day. So all the community garden members gather and they'll have a giant potluck. Well, actually, they do a work day first, starting in the morning, and they'll clean up the plots and the aisles and everything around the fences. And it's kind of a good community feel. They'll paint the shed, they'll paint the tools, benches, and just kind of spruce everything up and winterize it for the coming winter season. And then they'll follow it with a potluck. So again, it's one of those things that kind of makes the garden so special is that they're, they see each other out there all the time gardening, and then they have these potlucks twice a year. And one of the other things that I just wanted to bring up, lights in the park. We've gotten a ton of donations for that. It's going to be a great year. I think Twinkle Lighting is going to start setting up lighting next week. Not setting up the lighting part, but they're going to start wrapping trees with the lights. They won't be connected yet, but they're going to use Piper Park as kind of a training for new staff. So they're going to get out there and just knock it out early in the season. One of the cool things that we're doing this year with donors is we're going to expand the number of events we're doing around it. Last year, we did a hot cocoa night in the park that was wildly successful with the Commons Foundation, and ton of people came out. It was very low key for me. It wasn't a high stress event, and there was a ton of people, hot cocoa, kids everywhere. And so we're going to try to do that a few times with different donors throughout the season this year. So more the merrier. The more events we can do, I think the better around this, because I think people enjoy being out there. And if you throw on hot cocoa, the kids are there. So, and that is all I have.
Any questions for Nick?
We are not doing any Halloween events. We had debated doing not that, but we had talked about doing a doggy dress up day at the park, and that may still be thrown out last minute. We'll see what happens with that.
In terms of the tree lights, did you raise enough money to make this more? I think you told before that it was going to be more of a walking event.
Yeah, I had to double check numbers. We were just talking about that before the meeting, so I don't have final numbers yet, but I believe we're going to be able to light a few trees down the walking path, kind of by the soccer goals on either side of the field. So not a huge, not a ton of trees or anything, but just a few down there that might make it worth taking an evening walk down the path.
On the tree lights, are you still looking for additional funding? Would you also accept additional lights if somebody had lights to light a shopping center there, someplace else?
We'll have to talk about that. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. I'm taking donations still. I think the official deadline was the 15th of October, but I'm certainly not going to turn away money at the end, and then and maybe we'll talk about.
The link is active, so should somebody want to use that QR code. So,
Right.
I have a question about the lights now.
Yes.
I love the idea, as you know, love the lights. And making it a walking event is like my personal 5-year goal, like let's be able to light the loop. But those trees give off a lot of light, and there's not a tree in every location. And the path, which I walk 4 times a week, little uneven? Are we thinking about how we'll downlight the path? Like even just like stake solar lights or something to
We're
minimize danger?
talking about solar lights right now and thinking about it, but yeah, there's kind of a risk involved with that. But the path is clear, and there are some ups and downs, but there's on the walking path itself, it's not no potholes on that. So I would almost say the parking lot is worse right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I guess that path's been prepared in lovely, thank you. And as a note, I would say I love the triangle shade and the stage platform. I think the stage platform would be a great place for hot cocoa.
Open to it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was on the grass and it was a little, even though I love those trees on
Mhm.
the parking perimeter are beautiful and they're lit. If there's somewhere we could, depending on which trees, I know it depends on what you can light and what extension cords run where, but.
Yeah, I think that was kind of chosen last minute last year. So
Table here.
yeah, certainly open to suggestions on that, whether that's the stage or closer to the playground. I think there were a ton of kids there, and I think some of the parents maybe appreciated having the hot cocoa a little bit away from the playground so that they weren't my kids in particular weren't downing 3 or 4 hot cocos and then going home.
Candy canes.
Yeah, the candy canes.
Since you're planning events, just as a suggestion, you might want to reach out to like the Marine Girls Chorus and see if they want to sing carols for one of the events.
Yeah, I'd be open to that. Yeah.
Any other comments?
Thank you for all you both do all the time.
Yeah.
We're very lucky.
We're gonna move on to item 7, the commissioner reports. When commissioners have any reports here?
I gave mine, QR code is still up.
Important information. I have nothing either, so we're gonna just go on and to the final item on the agenda, the adjournment of the meeting. Can someone make a motion to adjourn?
I will so move.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting is
Motion
adjourned.
passes. Goodbye.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.